Good morning, everyone. Realise we've got 10 minutes to cover a very big topic, so I'm just going to give you a quick snapshot of a few things to think about, and hopefully prompt further conversation. And thanks very much to Isla for getting me involved. So I'm going to jump into a few slides. A few things I want to talk about: designing for longevity from the outset in your set design. Choosing materials, thinking about transport and packaging, and planning waste streams. The images I'm going to be using are mostly from some of our own projects, and I'll use those to kind of point out things as we go. Straight into designing for longevity then, and unfortunately we're in a business, particularly in certain sectors, where things get built, installed for a short time, and then thrown in a skip and end up in landfill, which is what we're all trying to avoid. So this image you can see is an exhibition build for a tech client, which was designed with modular components that could be rearranged into exhibition stands of different scales, reused and reskinned. The only pieces that get replaced were artwork panels, so 99% sort of reusable, designed for multiple use in different venues. And I think the key here from the outset is for, if you're a design and build company or a supplier in this sector, is to talk to the clients about future use. You might get a brief for a certain thing, but it's about thinking about future campaigns and how things can be designed for multiple use from the outset. Designing of modular components, and thinking about minimizing the amount of things that are only single use. Absolutely key point, which often gets overlooked, is the D-rig at the end of an installation. Obviously, a lot of effort goes into the install process, but particularly if things have been designed beautifully for multiple use, is making sure that there's sufficient D-rig time and resources. Particularly if you're working on a retail installation, for example, you might only have a short time overnight to get an installation out of a retail venue. But it's making sure that there's sufficient resources are there to make sure things are taken care of when they come out, so that reuse plan can be put into practice, and making sure that's planned in with the clients from the start. Touring art installations. This is an image of an installation called Memory Palace by Es Devlin, which we did. Essentially a giant timber egg structure that people walk inside, and it was made of CNC relief cut bamboo panels, showing the history of human settlements over the ages. And bamboo, great material to work in, very sustainable, very fast growing, and designed to go into a number of different venues. And I think the art world, the art installation world, is one sector that does naturally kind of think about reuse and reinstallation, and it's good to work with clients that design things in that way from the outset. If you can't reuse a set, then what can you do with it? Again, the key here is planning in advance, talking to organisations that can reuse either materials or components or whole items. Event cycle is a particularly good one. There's a couple of links on there for resources to engage with, and engage early. Talk to these organisations about what they can take, because it might then slightly change or influence either material choice or the way things are designed, so that they can be reused and put to good use afterwards. Thinking about material choice, obviously, depending on what you're building, this is a permanent office installation that we did. Some furniture pieces here, so obviously kind of indoors, permanent installation. Aesthetic is important. With whatever it is you're building, the structural properties are obviously vitally important. The finish, the aesthetic, the location, whether it's indoors or outdoors, it's got to stand up to the elements, the lifetime of it, and sustainability traditionally has kind of been at the bottom of that list, and it's about pushing sustainability as far up that list as possible in terms of you know, how materials are chosen and the requirements of them, you know, while still meeting all these other requirements. And by interrogating the supply chain and talking to your build partner, you'll find that, you know, in a lot of cases you can still hit all of the other requirements, but there are more sustainable options, you know, and particularly new products coming on the market which are you know, better from a sustainability point of view, but will still achieve everything else that needs to be achieved in the build. A couple of particular examples, obviously with set building we work a lot in timber and sheet material. FSC, Forest Stewardship Council, should be a minimum for any timber sourcing, but again, if you talk to the suppliers, you know, talk directly to timber suppliers, and they'll should be able to tell you a lot more about where that timber's coming from, how it's been transported, and you can look at that whole life cycle of the material. Fire regs is obviously something to bear in mind, particularly with indoor venues. You know, certain venues require very a high specification fire retardancy. The products used to treat timber vary in the manufacturing process and how sustainable they are. There are really good organic non-toxic treatments like burn block. I've put a link in the deck there, which are much better in terms of their manufacturing process. Also, talk to your suppliers about take-back schemes. There are certain suppliers that will take, you know, materials back after use for either reuse, recycling, or other purposes. So again, it's sort of interrogating your build partners, your supply chain, to look for those opportunities. A couple of particular examples of nice products. This is a retail installation for a fashion client that we did recently, using green cast, which is 100% recycled cast acrylic sheets. Comes in beautiful colours, lovely finish. Again, you know, something where there's no compromise to the aesthetic or the structural properties of it. It's just much better from a sustainability point of view than virgin acrylic. Another one you might have come across, Terrazzo timber panels. This is a product made from timber offcuts and recycled timber pressed into panels. Really good for worktops, kitchen units. This retail installation, it's not one of ours particularly, this one, but it's something that we've been specifying in quite a lot of retail builds recently. Made in the UK. There's a manufacturer called Terrazzo. Again, there's a link there. Yeah, really great product for countertops, worktops, that kind of thing, and looks beautiful. Comes in a range of colours, really nice. Couple of things to avoid: PVC branding, Foamex, anything involving polystyrene. Sheets like this are kind of pressed together with a kind of foam insert. Short lifespan, difficult to recycle. Try and look for, you know, longer lasting, harder wearing alternatives. Diagon panels, you know, nice finish and last a lot longer. And also talk to your graphics and print suppliers about non-PVC alternatives. There are a lot of new products again coming on the market that are just more sustainable in the manufacturing process. Transport and packaging, again, can be an aspect of a build that's overlooked, you know, particularly with, say, large scale exhibition builds. You know, the build of the set itself might be very good from a sustainability point of view, but how does it get to XL or the venue that you're working in? If it's wrapped in you know, tons of bubble wrap and shrink wrap and things like that, all of that single use, it's going to get skipped. Try and avoid that. You know, traditional blankets, paper airbags are very good for protecting things in the back of trucks and containers, stop them moving around. There's a range of very good recycled card and paper products that you know, are very good alternatives to single-use plastic. And again, get your build supplier to look at efficient truck packing plans. You know, it's very easy to do, you know, 3D drawings of the back of trucks to make sure you're making efficient use of space, choosing the right size vehicle, both for the in and the out. It might be that you can save go down a vehicle size for the load out because there's less items going back again. Worth mentioning, there's a plastic tax coming in the UK from April next year. Essentially, any plastic that doesn't contain a significant amount of recycled material will be taxed from next year. So again, there's financial considerations coming into play in those materials as well. Okay, a few key takeouts then. Designing for longevity from the outset and talking to clients about future use, thinking further ahead in campaigns, thinking about material options, looking for new products in the market, interrogating the supply chain, thinking about the supply chain from start to finish, the transportation of the materials to the processing or build process onto installation and de-rig, trying to think about the transportation process and the packing process, particularly removing single-use plastic from that step. Also thinking about crew transportation, how can you make that more efficient? And making sure that it's planning around waste streams with venues and suppliers from the outset, making sure that if you've got products that can be recycled, that they are being, and you've got access to those waste streams, wherever you work. Thank you very much. That is the end of my quick snapshot into sustainable set building.